Hey guys, so today welcome back. We'll be doing unit 1 paper 2 for MLB. Let's just get into it. So module 1, business and its environment. Lickly Tickly Beverages started operations in March 2020. Tara Reg is the only owner. She's about to register the business while considering a number of factors or issues relating to how the business will function in the future. These include legal structure, strategic planning, and decision making. 1A says, identify the type of legal structure currently being used by Tara. So that is a sole trader, sole proprietorship. Part 2, state one way in which the legal structure identified in AI is an advantage to Tara. So all the profits made by the business belongs to Tara. That is an advantage. Part 3 says, state two ways in which the legal structure identified in AI is a disadvantage to Tara. Two ways in which this legal structure is a disadvantage to Tara is that the business has unlimited liability, which means that Tara's personal assets can be taken away if she defaults on her loan. Lastly, it is difficult for Tara to raise and secure large amounts of capital. Part B, explain 3 reasons why Tara needs to develop strategic objectives for Lickly Tickly Beverages. So, developing a strategic objective for Lickly Tickly Beverages will allow Tara to gauge the firm's performance in reaching its long-term objective, and ascertain alternative methods or ways to get back the firm on track in achieving its objective. Also, developing a strategic objective will motivate Tara's employees to become more efficient in carrying out their task, as they feel a sense of belonging within the firm. Lastly, by developing strategic objectives, Tara can prioritize the resources of Lickly Tickly Beverages, for example, financial, human, and technology in a manner that aligns with the company's goals and objectives. This ensures that the company's resources are being used effectively and efficiently. That is 9 marks. You guys could use this and expound on the idea if you all want to. C, after registering the business, Tara wants to open a branch in another parish by November 2020. Discuss 3 essential features of any information Tara would require in making a decision to expand the business to another parish. So when collecting the data on the most efficient way of expanding the firm in another parish, Tara must be able to collect the data in the most cost-efficient manner. This will ensure that the data collected or gathered do not outweigh its benefits. This can include legal and regulatory issues that can impact a firm. Also, the information collected must be relevant in order to be used. This will be based on the nature of the business and the extensive market research. Additionally, the data must be up to date, as outdated data information can result in undue cost to the firm. Lastly, Tara would require the information to be available in a timely manner in order to capitalize on the opportunity cost of making that decision as well. And that is part C for 12 marks. 12 marks. 12 marks, guys. Moving on to module 2, management of people. So we have this scenario here. Anywhere, anytime incorporation is a US-based multinational corporation with a subsidiary in the Caribbean island of Crete. The president, Adil Hassan, is concerned about the low work performance of the Crete operations as well as the loss of market share in that island. He decides to send home the 8 production workers who are older than 50 years and to hire 6 younger workers from the US to take their place. The new supervisor is also a US citizen. The Americans believe that the Cretians are only concerned about keeping their jobs and that they are not interested in increasing work outputs, so productivity, so that the business can be profitable. The Chrétiens deny this claim. The disagreement between the Chrétiens and Americans have eroded trust, so they no longer consider themselves a team. The Chrétiens believe that the supervisor always resolves conflicting views in favor of the Americans. The workers' union have written to the production manager, Peter Pregel, asking for a meeting to resolve the conflict among the workers in the production department. Part A says, define the following terms. So we have conflict. What is a conflict? So a conflict is any disagreement between two or more parties in any given circumstance. And then we have team. A team is a group of individuals that share a common interest of achieving a common goal. That is a team. And for these two definitions, you get 4 marks. B says, given the current situation at anywhere, anytime in cooperation, explain 3 factors that could hinder teamwork at the firm. A lack of trust is one of the factors that could hinder teamwork at the firm. It is evident in the firm that the Americans have adopted a negative point of view about the Chrétiens, which was denied by the Chrétiens. As a result, this may lead to a decrease in group cohesion, resentment, and conflict. Another factor to be considered is a communication issue present. The cultural difference between the Chrétiens and American workers, as well as the language barriers, may make it difficult for them to efficiently or effectively communicate and collaborate as one unit. Lastly, conflicting goals between Chrétiens and Americans may hinder teamwork in the firm. For example, the Chrétiens may value social gathering, group participation, and the overall health, whereas the Americans may value productivity and profit over any other needs in the business. As a result, if these conflicting goals are not addressed, it can lead to group cohesion. C. So we have the trade union delegate, Mr. Thomas, wants a meeting to resolve the conflict among production workers. Discuss how Mr. Thomas could use each of the following conflicting strategies to resolve the conflict among production workers at anywhere, anytime in cooperation. So you have smoothing, confronting, and compromising. So Mr. Thomas could use smoothing as a conflicting and handling strategy by focusing on the common goals and interests of both parties. He could try to downplay the differences between the two parties and emphasize the importance of working together to improve the performance of anywhere, anytime in cooperation in the Caribbean market. This could involve finding ways to involve both parties in the decision-making process and actively listening to their concerns and suggestions. Mr. Thomas could also allow the disagreeing parties to confront each other in a manner that is not disrespectful. By doing this, each party usually are able to get to the root cause of the disagreement and suggestions to resolve the conflict being expressed as well. Lastly, he could allow the parties to compromise, in which each party gives up something in order to get to a solution. So we could allow the parties to compromise. In this case, there is no clear winner or loser. For example, the American supervisor could be more open-minded and less biased in resolving conflict, and in exchange, the production workers can put additional effort in increasing production. So that is compromising. That's an example of compromising here. And the last module, business, finance, and accounting. We have Paul and Peter Estates, an organic farm in the Caribbean island of Antonic. Antonic is owned by Paul Peters and his wife Petula. The farm was initially started through a venture capital program 8 years ago in order to meet the current increase in demand for the produce. The Peters need to access short-term financing. The friend suggested that they apply to the International Commercial Bank of Antonic, sorry. The loan officer at the bank asks the Peters for three financial statements, including the income statement. Table 1 below gives the assets and liabilities for the year ending December 2020. So part A says define the following terms. Short-term financing. Short-term financing are funds that are needed by the firms to carry out business activities. So they are needed to carry the daily transactions of the firm. Short-term financing. Equity are ownership of a firm from the purchasing of shares. That is equity. And then we have here explain two reasons why the loan officer at the commercial bank needs to see the income statement for Paul and Peter Estate. So the income statement is a financial statement that assesses the financial performance of a firm. With this in mind, having access to the income statement provides the loan officer with the necessary information about the company's revenues and expenses. This will allow the loan officer to see how well the firm or company is doing financially and its ability to repay any loan. Secondly, the income statement shows whether the company is making a profit or a loss. If the firm is constantly making a profit, then it reduces the risk for the bank and increases the likelihood of the firm getting approved for a loan. Lastly, the income statement helps the officer to determine how much money the firm can afford to borrow. By looking at the company's revenue and expenses, a judgment can be made that will not put undue financial strain on the firm. Will not put undue financial strain on the firm. This again helps to minimize the risk and ensure that the firm is able to make timely payments here. So by looking at the firm's revenue and expenses, a judgment can be made that don't put undue strain on the firm. On the firm. This again helps to minimize, its risk and ensure that the firm is able to make timely payments. So using the information given in table 1 on page 12, calculate the working capital for Paul and Peter estates. Formally for working capital, again guys, is current assets minus current liabilities. The current asset given in the table was 50,000, 35,000, 12,000, and 25,000, which adds up to 120,000. The current liabilities are 17,000, 5,000, and 2,000, which is like 24,000. And subtracting the current liabilities from the current asset will give you $98,000. And the last question for this paper is discuss two ways in which Paul and Peter's estate working capital as at December 2020 can assist the Peters in making informed decisions about the future of the business. So again guys, working capital is defined as funds that are needed to carry the daily transactions of a business. With this in mind, Paul and Peter estates working capital of 98,000 means that the business is fairly liquid. As a result, they can take a short-term or long-term loan from any financial institution. The course of action will not disrupt the cash flow of the business since its current asset is greater than its current liability. Additionally, this working capital figure signals that the firm may be profitable overall, and any risky investment that have a high reward and loss attached to it may be considered since the firm can, recuperate any losses. And that is the two ways in which Paul and Peter's estate working capital can help them make informed decisions. That is it. That is the end of the paper. That is it for me today. See you all next time.